Acceptance isn't agreement. The biggest stumbling block that I see when people are trying to apply unconditional acceptance and rational thinking. People often say to me, yeah, but Sam, I don't want that. No, we're not saying you want anything. You're not trying to excuse anything. You're not trying to justify anything. You're not trying to like anything. For example, if I got diagnosed with cancer today, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't like that. Of course, I'd be very sad and upset about that, but I could accept that. Okay, I could look at maybe a criminal in jail and I could strongly condemn their action. I could strongly see that their action is bad and rate the action as bad. So I'm disliking what they've done and seeing the act as unacceptable. But then I'm accepting and having compassion and understanding for them and seeing why they did that, understanding why they did that, accepting them for why they've done that, but whilst condemning the action they've done. Okay, so there's a big difference there, because people often say, yeah, but if I go towards acceptance, it means that I'm agreeing with their action. No, I can strongly condemn something that anyone's done, even if you've done something wrong. If I've done something wrong, I could regret what I've done. I could acknowledge that the action was bad, that the deed was bad, that it was a mistake, that it's a weakness, that it was wrong. Okay, that's fine. You can rate acts because that is how you learn. If you do a bad act and you acknowledge the act is bad, and you're then going to try and not repeat that bad behavior. If you then label yourself as bad and say, I am totally bad, I am no good, I am worthless, I am undeserving, I can't be happy, I am undeserving of any joy, I deserve to be punished, I deserve to never ever be let off the hook, then of course that's going to lead to unhealthy feelings of guilt, panic, depression, anxiety, shame, self-pity, impending doom, dread, and so on. Okay? Because you're not only rating the act, you're rating yourself. Okay? Now, as you get later on in the journey, and as you become more wise to the tools and rational thinking and unconditional acceptance, remember it's for yourself. Unconditional acceptance for yourself. Because people often say, yeah, but what if they don't understand why I'm applying this? Why don't they understand rational thinking? Well, you're applying it for yourself and how you view your fears, how you can view other people. It's for yourself. It's for no one else. You don't have unconditional acceptance, then tell the whole world you've got unconditional acceptance, okay? It's for your own philosophy and how you see, how you deal with stuff, how you view stuff, and any adversity that happens in our life, you become very good at overcoming that problem because you've always got that self-acceptance of you. Like, even if you've made a mistake, you can accept yourself unconditionally whilst regretting the mistake, whilst admitting the mistake was bad, whilst seeing what you did wrong, but having compassion, understanding, empathy, and acceptance, because that leads to more healthy feelings of concern, sorrow, remorse, regret, healthy frustration, healthy disappointment, sadness, because with those feelings you're going to be more inclined to change because you don't like those feelings, right? And that shows you that you're getting what you do not want. Okay, so let's say you made a bad financial investment, for example. Okay, now you could regret what you've done because that regret, that feeling of remorse, that feeling of regret, that feeling of annoyance and frustration shows you that that's hindering you from achieving your goal. Okay, but if you're then feeling overly anxious and guilty and depressed, you ain't going to be thinking straight. You won't have that mental clarity to correct that mistake that you've made, or to learn from that, or to transform your life from that, or to benefit from that, take advantage from that. Okay, but with the healthy feeling, once you have that, you acknowledge that, yes, I don't like this feeling. Yes, I don't like what I did, or I can learn from that. But then because you've got that feeling, it then means you then learn from it and helps you in the future. Okay, and that's so important. So acceptance isn't agreement. The common stumbling block that I see all the time, the common misconception, I slipped up on this many times. I thought, well, how can I ever accept that? How can I ever accept that? But the thing that was holding me back from accepting anything, remember, it's unconditional. No conditions attached, no matter what. Okay? It's not, I'll only accept you if this, I only accept that person if they do that, I only accept myself if I achieve this, and if I got this amount of money, and if I got this partner, and if I got this job, and only, if I've only done this act, but not that act, that's conditional. That's accepting yourself only when, okay? Unconditional acceptance is even if, okay? Big difference, even if. And that's so, so important for you to hear, because because OCD is always looking for that thing you can't accept. If you look at every time you're triggered, if you look at every time where you're going through that suffering, or when you're just going back to okay, what am I scared of here? It goes back to the thing you can't accept. Okay, if you look at all the things you're triggered by, that can be not accepting being stuck with OCD forever, not accepting going to jail, not accepting doing wrong, being rejected, being abandoned, not accepting a physical sensation, not accepting death, not accepting any sort of responsibility aspect of where you may have caused harm to someone else or caused harm to yourself, or that not knowing, so sort of HOCD fears, not knowing your sexuality and so on. Okay, it all links back to that thing you cannot accept. Now, with those things, and as we make peace of worst case scenario, you don't just accept it overnight, okay? Because it takes time to look at it rationally and see how you could accept anything unconditionally. But when that triggers people, it's because they're saying, well, no, I can't accept that because I'm agreeing with it. No, you're not trying to agree with it. You're not justifying it. You're not excusing it. You're not wanting it. You're not liking it, okay? It's a big difference there. Okay, having understanding, having compassion, seeing the logic behind things, seeing the rational thinking behind things, okay, seeing why people do stuff, seeing the genetic factors, the environmental factors, the hereditary factors, the upbringing, their own personal experiences shaping why they've done stuff and so on. Okay, because if I didn't have unconditional acceptance, you wouldn't be talking to me right now, or I wouldn't be talking to you on this video, because I'd still be stuck with OCD, because it always, like I just said, it always links back to what I can accept, right? Hence why the taboo relates, or the guilt taboo related fears latched, because that was a complete lack of acceptance. If, oh my God, if you had this thought, if you had this feeling, you couldn't ever accept that. No way, you're evil, you're a scumbag, you don't deserve any good, you deserve to be punished, how could you ever be happy? That lack of acceptance was fueling the suffering there. Not being accepting of, with OCD, so constantly trying to get rid of OCD all the time, trying to push OCD away, so I wasn't accepting the feelings, I wasn't accepting that I even had OCD. It took me ages to accept that OCD for a start, okay, because I was in denial, thinking, oh yeah, like I know I was having intrusive thoughts, I knew OCD was a problem, but it was the fact that, yeah, but I don't want OCD, I hate having OCD, I need it gone. Well, no, that was the problem, that's why it was lingering around, that's why it was staying there, because just acknowledging that you have a mental health disorder can be, it can, it's like, oh my God, like this is a problem that I need to sort out, rather than trying to pretend that everything's going to be all right, just a kind of quick fix, because it doesn't work like that. Okay, and that's also important for when you get better, knowing that you could easily slip back into that because you have OCD, you have a chronic disorder, and you have a mental health disorder that could suddenly latch at any time. Yes, with the beliefs that you've worked on in the internal framework, and not doing the compulsive cycles or the compulsive behaviours that fuels the cycle. Yes, you're less likely for OCD to latch and have power and play a part in your life, but you still got to remember that you have OCD. And if you slip back into your old way of thinking, if you didn't give a shit about any sort of life structure, any life routine, then it'll start gradually coming back into your life. Okay, so not wanting OCD to be here forever, not wanting to be stuck, yet again, it's not agreement, not liking OCD here, no. Okay, I don't like OCD suffering, I don't like it. If it came back now, I wouldn't like that, but I could accept that. Okay, because then you then realise that you see the things that you can change. Okay, and you try to change the things that you can change, and the things that you can't change, you learn to accept. And even the things that you can change, if you can only change it so far, you learn to accept what you then can't change. Okay, it's having the wisdom to know the difference. Because if you're spending your whole time trying to change things that are completely out of your hands, then that's a complete waste of time. And that then leads to feelings of anger and rage. Oh, this thing shouldn't happen. Why does this have to happen? This is terrible. I hate this, and so on. Okay, so having the wisdom to know the difference, that comes with time. Okay, so the bottom line of the video, acceptance isn't agreement. I have to say this all the time because it's the biggest stumbling block, and trust me, I was there. I was in your shoes. I was thinking, well, no, I just can't accept that. I can't accept it. And I say, why can't you accept it? Because I don't want that. No, okay, yet again, you're going back down the agreement cycle. It's so subtle. That's how it does. Because it's OCD's going after that area where, well, how do I know if I genuinely want this? Or is this OCD? Is this a genuine concern? Or is this OCD? Okay, it's the same with health anxiety. I had it big time with, if I could accept cancer, but then, but I don't want cancer, so I need to check the No, okay, that's not accepting. Of course you don't want cancer, of course you don't want to get ill, but because that lack of acceptance is that constant trying to work out, have I got cancer, have I got cancer, have I got cancer? No. A healthy concern around having cancer wouldn't mean you go to the doctors every 2 weeks, but that need and that demand that I must not have cancer because you don't accept that possibility will lead to the compulsive behaviours. Hence why we think and we act and we feel, because they all intertwine, they all come hand in hand. Okay, so it's very, very important. If you are struggling with acceptance and agreement, you're not alone. Okay, I experienced that. Many people that I speak to, because when you society doesn't have that unconditional acceptance because we're not taught that. Okay, but because of OCD suffering, because you become more rational reading the books on our reading list, you see that self-acceptance or unconditional self-acceptance and other acceptance and life acceptance brings that long-term internal peace, and not that constant trying to work things out in your head, not that craving and searching and chasing that approval from others and that liking from others and that needing to be approved. Cannot be oh my god, bad person, no way, oh my god, if I've done that, I'm a terrible person. And that all stems from conditional acceptance. Okay, so unconditional self-acceptance, it takes time, as does other acceptance, as does life acceptance. If you are struggling with that, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and we can help guide you through that. We can give some advice, give some insight on maybe where you're still clinging on to the acceptance as agreement, and because that is the most common stumbling block that I see for sure, because I see it all the time, and I say, well, no, because you're still saying, well, you can't agree with it. Okay, so I say, look, we're going towards acceptance. You're not saying it's fine. You're not saying, yes, I want that. No. And it's very, very subtle. You've got to keep an eye out for that. Many times, especially with HOCD, when I deal with SOCD, sexual orientation OCD, gay OCD, lesbian OCD, whatever you want to call it, the answer I get back, and people back, they say, yeah, but I don't want to be gay. I'm not saying you want to be gay. I'm saying it's accepting even if you were. Okay, accepting even if your worst case scenario was true. That's with any theme as well. Accepting even if you were in jail, even if you did do wrong, even if you did make a mistake. Not saying you didn't, not saying that you are going to jail, I'm not saying that you are gay, I'm not saying that you definitely did wrong, I'm just saying that even if you did do wrong, because that brings the long-term internal peace. You know, with relevant false memory, a huge one for me. I had this locked on with chronic guilt so tight and so firm, you know, my whole life was just fixated on 24/7 guilt, rumination in my head, scanning the past all the time, that guilt was through the roof, okay? Now, the answer wasn't working it out and go, oh, yes, I know I haven't done anything wrong. No, because OCD would just convince me, boom, you've done something wrong. So I had to go towards the even if I did, not wanting to do wrong, not liking to do wrong, not agreeing if I did wrong, but accepting myself and accepting the situation, even if I did do wrong. Okay? And that is how long-term, robust, internal freedom comes about, because nothing in the past today could disrupt my inner peace, because I have that unconditional acceptance of me, of Sam, unconditional accepting myself, even if I've done an immoral act, even if I've done wrong, even if I do a costly mistake, even if I make a fatal error, okay, I can still accept myself unconditionally. I can accept others unconditionally, even if I strongly disagree with their beliefs and their actions and their behaviours and their views. And if they treat me unfairly or inconsiderately, I can accept them. I can accept anyone that I see is doing wrong, because I can see that, why did they do that? Well, I can have compassion for them. I can have understanding and acceptance for them. But what led them to do that? What factors led them to do that? What components led them to do that? What experience shaped them to do that? Okay, yet again, not agreeing, not liking what they've done, but acceptance and compassion is seeing more than just the act, looking at why the human did that. And what I often say is, if you cut their brain out of their head and cut your brain out of your head and put their brain in your head, it would all make a lot more sense as to why they do what they do. Yet again, not agreeing with what someone does, not justifying, not excusing it, not supporting it, not saying it's a good thing. No, I'm just having acceptance as to why they've done that. And then it will start making more sense. Okay? And unconditional life acceptance, the big one. When people say, oh, you know, life isn't worthwhile, life is meaningless. If I did this, if I've done wrong, if I'm in the wrong relationship, if I'm gay, if I'm stuck with OCD forever, if this happens, if that happens, then life isn't worthwhile. What's the point? What's the point of even carrying on? Life is just shit, right? I can't enjoy life. What's the point? Nothing else matters. Okay, so with unconditional life acceptance, you learn to dislike conditions, dislike circumstances, dislike maybe how you're living, but never writing life off as a whole. Okay, it's the same with self and others. Never writing yourself off, never writing other people off. Okay, maybe your life right now might be very, very challenging and very difficult, but if you say my whole life is shit, what's the point? Then you're writing your whole life off. You're forgetting about all the things you could still enjoy, all the things that you can still be grateful for, the pros and cons of every situation. Okay, all the good outcomes that could happen, how you could transform and benefit your life, how you could still have compassion for yourself, even in your life circumstance. Okay, because then you're shutting the door on the future. You're shutting the door on actually ever changing your life conditions. If you're saying life is totally shit, I hate my life, it's terrible, and that lack of acceptance towards your life, then it's going to be like looking up at Mount Everest and going, right, to get my life back, I've got to climb that mountain in a day. No, step by step, day by day, accepting life conditions whilst not liking them, and doing all you can to change conditions that you can change, of course. You don't just roll over and go, oh, I'm not doing anything about it. Someone's treating you unfairly, for example. You stand your ground. You're going to try and get your point across in a healthy, calm, rational way, okay? But the problem with that is when you need to get your point across, that conditional acceptance. I only accept them if I get my point across. Or they must listen to me. They must understand me. They need to understand what I'm saying. That's conditional acceptance. Okay? So, having the wisdom to know the difference between acceptance and agreement. Okay? So, knowing what you can change, knowing what's in your hands that you can try and change, but accepting if you can't change and going towards that unconditional acceptance whilst disliking, disagreeing, condemning, not justifying, not supporting, not excusing, but the acceptance of the human, of yourself and life's conditions. Or life as a whole, even with conditions you don't like, or crummy conditions, as Albert calls it. Okay, very important to hear. Acceptance isn't agreement. If you're getting stuck in it, don't worry. I did as well. Okay, so that's why I recommend getting in touch with one-to-ones. If you email phil@ocdrecovery.com, because it's quite a difficult thing to grasp, especially by yourself. Reading the books and our reading this is helpful, but often you need that guidance, you need that help of, okay, yes, see what you're doing wrong. Because if you've got another set of eyes looking at your problem, it's like, well, yeah, I can see straight away you're doing that. And us being coaches, we get very good at seeing, well, yes, that's what's holding you back. That's your barrier. That's the mental barrier. Yes, you're avoiding that. Yeah, that compulsion is then fueling the conditional acceptance because you're avoiding that. Okay, we'll look at all things like that. Hence why one-to-ones are good, because they're tailored and they're specialized just for you and your specific fears. Anyway, I hope you found this video enjoyable. Hope you have. I hope you found it relatable. Hope you found it helpful. And hopefully speak to you again on a one-to-one or wherever it may be. Bye-bye.